Welcome back, everybody. I'm Liana again from Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering, doing my engineering and cybersecurity. So today's subject is waste management, and today's topic is hazardous waste management. So let's immediately start this interesting topic. So, what is hazardous waste management? So, hazardous waste management includes the collection, treatment, and disposal of waste material. So, there is the processing, disposal, and all those things. When improperly handled, can cause substantial harm to the human health and safety or to the environment. So, that's why we collect it, we transport it, and then we dispose it. The hazardous waste can take the form of solids, liquids, and sludges or contain gases. So, it can be in the form of solids, liquids, gases, and they are generated primarily by chemical production, manufacturing, and other industrial activities, especially the factories and nuclear power plants. So coming to hazardous waste characteristics. So hazardous waste, they're classified on the basis of biological, chemical, and physical properties. So these properties, they generate toxic, reactable, ignitable, corrosive, infectious, or radioactive materials. So this toxic waste or poisons. So even in very small or trace amounts, they have many effects, many acute effects. So it leads to death also and violent illness. So they might have chronic effect, carcinogenic effects that results to cancer after many years, and also breathing problems like respiratory tract infection and all those infections. So others are mutagenic, causing major biological changes in the offspring, exposed humans and wildlife. So this results in the abnormality in the child. So reactive waste, they are chemically unstable and react violently with air or water. So they cause explosions or form toxic vapors. Now, corrosive waste include strong acidic or alkaline substances. Ignitable waste burnt at relatively low temperatures may cause an immediate fire hazard. So they destroy solid material and living tissue upon contact by chemical reaction. So infectious waste, so they include used bandages, hypodermic needles, and other materials so from hospital or biological research facilities. Now radioactive waste, they are basically from nuclear power plants. So ionizing energy that can harm living organism because some radioactive materials can persist in the environment for thousands of years before fully decaying. So there's much concern over the control of these waste. So due to this, the nuclear power plants should be built very far away so that the radioactive waste is not emitted to the environment, which because it causes serious health issues. For, however, the handling and disposal of radioactive material is not a responsibility of local and municipal government because the scope and complexity of the problem, the management of radioactive waste, particularly nuclear fission waste, is usually considered an engineering task separate from other forms of hazardous waste management and is discussed in the article Nuclear Reactor. Coming to the generation of hazardous waste, so let's deal with how it is generated. So the hazardous waste, they are generated in limited amounts in a community and very little information is available on the quantities of hazardous waste generated within a community. So hazardous waste generated outside the industry is irregular and very less in amount, rendering the waste generation. So basically hazardous waste is from all the industries, and from household there's very limited, very less in amount hazardous waste is generated. The only practical means to overcome this limitation is to conduct a detailed inventory and measurement studies at each potential source in a community. As a first step in developing a community inventory, potential sources of hazardous waste are to be identified. The total annual quantity of hazardous waste at any given source in a community must be established through data inventory completed during on-site visits. Hazardous waste is generated from many sources ranging from industrial manufacturing, process waste to batteries, and may come in many forms including liquids, gases, solids, and sludges. So it can be generated in hospitals, factories, industries, in and all the other in nuclear power plants where toxic chemicals are released. Coming to the storage and collection, so on-site storage practices are a function of the types and amounts of hazardous waste generated and the period over which generation occurs. Usually, when large quantities are generated, special facilities are used and have sufficient capacity to hold waste accumulated over a period of several days, and only a small amount is generated. So, this hazardous waste cannot be kept for a very long time. It can be only kept for a period of few 2 to 3 days. When the waste can be containerized, the unlimited quantity may be stored. Containers are facilities used in hazardous waste storage and handling are selected on the basis of waste characteristics. For example, corrosive acids or caustic solutions are stored in fiberglass, fiberglass or glass-lined containers to prevent deterioration of metals in the container. Great care must also be exercised to avoid storing incompatible waste in the same container or locations. So the waste generation or a specialized hauler generally collects the hazardous waste for delivery to a treatment of disposal site. The loading of collection vehicle is completed in either the following ways. So waste is stored in large capacity tanks are either drained or pumped into collection vehicles. Waste stored in sealed drums or sealed containers are loaded by hand or by mechanical workers and flatbed trucks. So the stored containers are transported unopened to the treatment and disposal facilities. To avoid accidents and the possible loss of oil, two collectors should be assigned when hazardous waste are to be collected. So for short haul distances, drum storage and collection with a flatbed truck is often used. So in the both the diagrams you can see there are two drums. So the first diagram is an open drum, light open head drum, and the second one is a closed closed light closed head drum. So this is, as the name suggests, this is the first diagram, it is open, and the second one it is closed. So these are used for short haul distances, and they're used to store the hazardous waste. So as hauling distances increase, the larger tank trucks, trailers, and railroad tank cars are often used. Coming to the transfer and transport, the economic benefits derived by transferring smaller vehicle loads to larger vehicles are equally applicable to hazardous waste. How the facilities of hazardous waste transfer station are quite different from solid waste transfer station. So typically what happens is hazardous waste are not compacted. That is the mechanical volume reduction. Okay. So now hazardous waste, they're not reduced in size or delivered by numerous community residents, because hazardous waste, they have toxic chemicals, so it should not come in direct contact with the human because it might cause health issues. So they are generally pumped from the collection vehicles, and sludge or solids are reloaded without removal from the collection containers. For transport to processing and dispose facilities, it is unusual to find a hazardous waste transfer facility where waste are simply transferred to larger transport vehicles. So some processing and storage facilities are often part of the material handling sequence at a transfer station. For example, neutralization of corrosive waste might result in the use of a lower cost holding tank and on transport vehicles. As in the case of storage, great care must be exercised to avoid the danger of mixing incompatible waste. Coming to the processing of hazardous waste is done for purposes of recovering useful materials and preparing the waste for disposal. Processing can be accomplished on-site or off-site. So it can be done in on-site or off-site. The variables affecting the selection of processing site include the characteristic of waste, the quantity of waste, the technical, economical, and environmental aspects of available on-site treatment processes, and the availability of the nearest off-site treatment facilities. So example, haul distance, fees, exclusions. The treatment of hazardous waste can be accomplished by physical, chemical, thermal, or biological means. Controlled landfill methods have improved etiquette for disposing of municipal solid waste and limited amounts of hazardous waste. But large quantity of hazardous waste cannot be used because of the following reason. First one is possible percolation of toxic liquid waste to the groundwater, so which will not be suitable for drinking. The second thing is dissolution of solids followed by leaching and percolation to the groundwater. Third thing is dissolution of solid hazard waste by acid leachate from solid waste followed by leaching and percolation to the groundwater. Then fourth point is potential for undesirable reactions in the landfill that may lead to the development of explosive or toxic gases, so which we breathe every time and causes respiratory diseases. Next one is voltization of hazardous waste leading to the release of toxic or explosive vapors to the atmosphere. Then corrosion of containers with hazardous waste. So disposal of hazardous waste is done in unlined pits, ponds, or lagoons poses a threat to human health and environmental quality. So many such uncontrolled disposal sites were used in the past and have been abandoned. Now they don't use it anymore. So in other instances, engineering studies may be required to assess the situation thoroughly before remedial action is taken. So one option for remediation is to completely remove all the waste material from the site and transport it to another location for treatment and proper disposal. This is called as off-site solution and is an expensive option. The alternative is on-site or remediation, which reduces the production of leachate and lessens the chance of groundwater contamination. On-site remediation may include temporary removal of the hazardous waste, construction of a secure landfill on the same site, and proper replacement of the waste. So it may also include treatment on any contaminated soil or groundwater. So treated soil may be replaced on-site and treated groundwater returned to the aquifer by deep well injection. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and please do support my YouTube channel.